Hey now, what up, GPITS fans? It's your boy JG from auburnsports.com. We are back live on the YouTubes, now armed with a much more powerful computer. So we're very happy about that. And I'm Jay, of course, as you can see, and that he is Neal. What's he? Oh, no, he's Neal right up there. He's Neal McGreefy, is what I like to call him, but you probably know him just as Neal McCready from rebelgrove.com. Neal, it's great to have you back. We missed you last week because we didn't do a show.
Yeah, I missed talking to you, Jay. Your setup is amazing. I know I've already told you that 7 times since we hooked up before you hit the button there, but wow, that's incredible. That's really it's on my end at least. It is, and your setup was always really, really good, but it's so much crisper. It's like you're here in the room.
Oh yes, I wish I was in the room.
No, it's really, really, really good.
So you took, I was explaining this to some folks that were wondering where the show was last week. You took a little break. I mean, you deserved it, in my opinion. You were past due for a little time to chill out. And you went to the Florida Panhandle, right?
Yeah, so what happened was my kids last summer reminded me that we have never taken, and they used the word never, we've never taken a vacation where I didn't work.
Well, you weren't working last week.
Yeah, and they said, you always are doing your radio show when you're at Mobile, or you're doing the podcast or whatever. Because we took a trip to California a couple of years ago, right about this time, and I mean, I would get up at 5:30 in the morning Pacific and go find a place in the hotel lobby and do the podcast. And I mean, it was no big deal, but so I was like, okay, well, we're going to take a vacation this year, and we talked about all these different things we could do, and we ultimately just decided to go to the beach. We booked it in January, and actually, at one point, couple points, actually tried to cancel it because I was worried about all the COVID crap and all that stuff, and couldn't get out of it. And I had the trip insurance, and it didn't apply because trip insurance does not apply for a pandemic, apparently. So we went, and no, it was really good. I was glad we went. We had a good time. It was very relaxing. I mean, I didn't do anything particularly exciting, but I did do the one thing I told myself I was going to do, which was I was going to go to the beach. I wasn't going to take my computer. I didn't take a laptop, and I wasn't going to take my phone down to the beach. I was going to just chill.
Yeah.
And I did do that successfully.
Yeah, I think so, because we were trying to text you, Gabriel and I. We didn't have anything to ask you. We were just kind of messing with you, and then you didn't answer, so that's good, though.
Yeah, I didn't have it. I mean, I would be without my phone from 9 in the morning until 5:30, 6 o'clock at night.
Didn't you feel kind of naked?
A little bit at first, and then I kind of got good with it. It was weird because everybody else is on their phones, on the beach and stuff, and you're looking around, everybody's on their phones, and so you're like, I don't have my phone. Do I need it? And then there was one day, I guess it was Wednesday or Tuesday that I got back up to the condo or whatever, and I pulled up the phone and saw where the college football world had gone to hell, and that was a little depressing.
Going to hell.
Yeah, it was just kind of a precipitous fall off the cliff.
Hey,
one day
are you
last
tweeting
week.
out the link to this?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Oh, shit. Okay, I'm gonna just retweet you. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
I see you tweeted something about the Sweden COVID.
Well,
it says Overdoleheten Sverige Utredad I Borjan av Huli. That really makes a lot of sense to me. You have really you are consumed with this COVID shit now, aren't you?
I'm not. I mean, I guess I am, and we all ought to be. There's the tweet, by the way. I think I included it. Yeah, I did. I mean, we're all.
Tell Wednesday.
What's that?
Tell Wednesday what you think about it.
Oh, hey, Wednesday. I think that I'm not a conspiracy person. I don't think there's a conspiracy necessarily. I think there's a lot of people in media that are simply frightened and all of those things. And I do always believe, Jay, and I know you don't like it when I say this, I do believe there is a bit of a competition inside media to impress one another with how woke they are.
Okay.
I do see that. I could be wrong. I would venture to guess that a lot of your listeners would agree with me when I say that. It's something I observe. That is a fraternity / sorority that is there in media, and they love to impress one another. And it's not cool for one of them to say, "Hey guys, slow down." And it's just,
yeah.
And I am a strong advocate, as I think you are too. I'm a strong believer that young people forget sports for a minute. Sports are important, but sports are not as important as getting kids back into school. Kids need to go back to school. I'm a strong proponent of that, and so I've got 2 or 3 friends who have asked to remain anonymous, who send me some things on Twitter, like, hey, I guess they know I have a little bigger platform. You ought to put this out, and they point out that there are plenty of examples of going back to school and it not having detrimental impacts on society. In fact, there are some studies that are starting to come out now that show that getting young kids back into school actually slows the spread of the virus within their families, because young people are not spreaders.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on it. I'm not going to bore people with it, but I do tweet some things out. I'm sure that I have lost some friends in the field, and I'm sure that I've upset some people, but that's never been my goal. You know that.
Of course. We'll save it for the show. Anything else? I mean, it's GPITS 106, as you can see up there. Chris Bryant giving it the thumbs up, of course. Neal McCready loves his Chris Bryants and his other Cubbies. I can probably name 2 or 3 of them. And so in this show, we'll talk about some COVID, because Neal's certainly, you're a professional amateur COVID expert. And we'll talk about how this affects the SEC. Big Ten has kind of come forward a little bit. Pac-12 has come forward a little bit. ACC's been kind of hedging their bets a little bit on this. The chatter is that it's going to be conference only, but they haven't specifically ruled out like an Auburn, North Carolina game, which is supposed to be week 2. That hasn't officially been ruled out, although I expect it to happen.
I do too.
And then we'll talk about Neal's vacation. I'm going to Gatlinburg in a few days. Lots of places to eat, lots of places to poop there, of course. I'm going to be an empty nester in 19 days. Counting it down. And a little little care package I put together for my daughter. I'm still working on is a like this. It's like a bullet point thing of things that I've learned in my life that I think she should know.
That's good.
Like shit that I, at 48 years old, just think I never had a conversation with my dad about, hey, here's some shit you need to know. Like that's my dad didn't operate like that. So
right.
I'm gonna probably talk to her about some of it, but I'm gonna write it down so she can read it whenever she feels like reading it. Because a lot of times when I talk to her, she doesn't feel like talking to me.
Well, this is funny because a year ago when I did something similar and I wrote this big long letter to Campbell.
It's not a letter, Neal. You didn't write a big letter. I remember you wrote a letter and I made fun of you for it. Yeah.
You made fun of me, but now you're doing something very similar.
I don't know about that. Mine's like an instruction manual. Yours was like, oh, Campbell, you're the greatest. And I mean, Campbell's a great girl.
Mine was kind of an instruction manual too. I just did it in my own different way.
Well, it would help me if I could see it, but I don't really want to see it because that's just between you and Campbell. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I just think you would be more cheesy than you would need to be. That's one man's opinion.
Yeah, no, probably so. I mean, I'm probably a little more. I'm probably a little less. What's the word? Overtly masculine than you are.
Yeah. No, it's just that if we're talking real talk here, Campbell's a nicer person than my daughter is, so it's easier to appreciate.
I did not say that.
No, you didn't. I said it, and Campbell is easier to appreciate than my daughter because my daughter is rough and your daughter's not. I don't know Caroline. She might be. I don't know, but Campbell's not. She's a soft, nice person.
Yeah,
gracious.
They're pretty similar. They're different, but
Caroline's got a little more.
Yeah. Although Campbell's kind of starting to. She has a job interview in Fayetteville tomorrow. She's doing it virtually from here, but she's trying to become a spin instructor.
Oh.
Yeah. She's really good at it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Pocket Watch, one of our guys says, does any of the stuff that I was writing for Maddie include money management? because that's what nobody talks to kids about, even though it matters arguably more than anything. First of all, your point is a very good one. My dad didn't spend 1 second talking to me, but I'm not really the money guy in my family, so she would need to have a conversation with him, administrative assistant, about that shit.
Campbell talked to us last night about wanting to start, I guess it's a Roth IRA, she's 19. And so she's got an appointment with a financial advisor on Wednesday afternoon to set up a Roth IRA. Isn't that funny, man? It shows you how much more. It's why I laugh when people attack that generation as they're a bunch of idiots or whatever. They're so much smarter at 19 than we were. We were so stupid at 19 compared to how smart they are.
Yeah, they're much more aware of what's going on. That's for sure. I think social media helps that.
Yeah, probably so.
All right. And also, of course, number one on the list is wear a condom. All right, you want us to go ahead and start the show here, Neal?
Yeah, I don't have a condom, but we can start the show.
I wasn't really asking for one from you. I was just saying, like, on the list of things that.
Just want to make sure that we were on the same page and stuff. I didn't want to start the show and not be prepared.
All right. She told me she was on the pill, man.
I'm trying to find an ad. Hold on.
Okay. Tiger wants to know when we're going to start the show. You can never please anybody, because some folks are like, I love it when you guys just chat before the show. We're like, okay, we'll do some of that. And then we do that. And Alpha Tiger goes, damn it, when are you going to start the show? And I'm just like, oh, geez.
All right, well, let's make Alpha Tiger happy and let's start a show.
Well, there was one more thing they wanted me to ask you, and now I can't find it. It was something about flying around, but I can't. Pocket watch, what is it? I don't see it now. I'm sorry, Pocket Watch. I can't catch up to it.
Yeah, I don't have the stream up because if I do it, the sound is so screwy.
I understand. I completely understand. All right, well, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Oh, I know what the question is.
Okay, go ahead.
We had a caller on our show Saturday night ask, very matter-of-factly, when's the last time that I pissed on my wife when I was drunk? And I said, to my knowledge, that's never happened. So the last time that happened is zero. And we started talking about the show, and I think that this particular caller was the only person who'd had that experience. Have you ever wee-weed on her? I don't mean like on purpose. I mean like you get so drunk that you just kind of let it rip.
I don't think so, Jay. I don't know that that's ever happened to me. I don't know that I've ever intentionally or unintentionally urinated on my wife or any other female for that matter.
All right. Well, there you go. There's the people wanted to know, Neal, if that was something that you were into, I guess, or just had that happen, and the answer is no. So,
isn't that a weird thing for people to be into? And I know there are people that listen. People can be into whatever you want to be into. I'm cool, whatever.
Sure.
It's your bedroom. Do what you want to do. I don't care. But when I try to think about that one, like how that could be satisfying or stimulating.
There's a backstory. You never know.
But you're in your mind, it's not Courtney feeding you the olives.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's what I tell Courtney.
Okay.
Jeez, Neal, what are you doing?
I don't know.
It seems like you're new to cognitive dissonance. I don't know.
I had some olives Saturday night. They were awesome.
Where did you have them at St. Leo's?
No, we had them here.
Were they?
We got back from the. She did not feed them to me, but they were really good. They had a little chili flake thing on them. They were excellent.
Damn. All right, here we go, Neal.
All right, here we go. Episode 106, you said, Jay?
It is indeed.
All right, here we go. All right, 3, 2. Welcome into the greatest pod in the South, presented by Automation and Control Systems, LLC. This is episode number 106. J.G. Tate with me. I'm Neal McCready, and we'll be with you for the next hour or so. We got a lot of things to talk about. COVID stuff, SEC football schedules, ACC football schedules, which impacts Auburn. I got in some trouble the other day, Jay, with even though I think I know I'm right. I got in some trouble with Ole Miss people about the Ole Miss Baylor game, which is the opening game that's at least on the schedule for September the 6th. I think that Sunday in Houston, the game's not going to happen, and I said as much. And Ole Miss was quick to point out that decision has not been made, and I just said okay, because it's it's been made. Anyway, ACS is, we'll get to all that in a minute. ACS is owned by Clay McNutt in Baldwin, Mississippi. Established in 2013, ACS is a complete electrical control system solution provider and a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. ACS has a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff and a UL 508A panel shop. ACS can custom tailor software packages, custom design electrical control panel solutions, and much more. They have a full-service AutoCAD services provider and a full-service fiber optic cabling solution provider. If you're in need of custom HMI and SCADA solutions or large horsepower VFD specialist, ACS has you covered. They can service and install Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley, Siemens, ABB, Square D, and many other manufacturers. For more information or to get in touch with ACS, go to acsllcms.com. That's acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381. I'm coming to you from the Clark Ford Studios. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for our friend Corey Clark. Tell Corey that Neal and Jay told you to call and get a quote on the Ford product that you're interested in. And what's going to happen is within 15 minutes, Corey's going to send you a quote. Right to the bottom line, no hassle, no haggle. You can take that quote and shop it around, let it be a gauge so you don't get screwed over somewhere else. Or if you're interested, get in touch with Corey. Even if you don't live near Amory, he'll find a way to get that vehicle to you. Bottom line is this: Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy, and he'll prove that to you when you make that call. 662-257-1900. Mr. Tate, how are you today?
It is another wonderful day here in Montgomery, Alabama. We are no longer a national hotspot in the COVID fight. We are just merely a hotspot in the Alabama realm. So that's great news. We only average like
Congratulations.
50 or 60 or 70 positives per day, and that's great. Before we get going, though, I want to say Web Moore, who is a Rebel Grover, just dropped a super chat in the here as part of our chat on YouTube. And says, welcome back, guys. 2 in 1 day for Neal. I know because I was briefly on the stream earlier with Neal and Chance the Yapper. Says, what do y'all think about Tommy Tuberville and can he beat Jeff Sessions? What are y'all's thoughts on Tommy? Have a great day and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Webb. Appreciate you. Yeah, Jay, you're there. And I drove through Alabama twice over the last week on my way down to Florida. So I saw a bunch of the signs and all that stuff. But you're there on the ground. What's the word? Tuberville versus Sessions.
Well, I mean, Tuberville has hitched his wagon to President Trump, no doubt about it. And so has Sessions. It's been a very odd thing with Sessions because he continues to do that, even though Trump has been vocally against Jeff Sessions and just basically shitting on him every chance he gets. So it's weird. It's kind of who's going to out-Trump the other, except President Trump hates one of them and not the other one. So my thought is Tommy's going to win this one by a somewhat significant margin. I am not a political analyst. I'm really barely even dabble in politics, but it just seems to me like Tub is more popular and Jeff Sessions has got that monkey on his back from recusing himself from the Russia investigation and then the president getting mad at him. I mean, that hurts him. It definitely hurts him.
When is that runoff?
It's soon. Is it next week? I'm not sure. It's soon.
And whoever wins that, you would make them the prohibitive favorite against Doug Jones?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, Doug Jones just won because he was running against a guy that couldn't win. You know, I mean, Roy Moore just couldn't win. So
yeah, I mean, it's just very hard for a Democrat to win a Senate seat.
Pocket Watch says that vote's tomorrow. Runoff is tomorrow, July 14th.
Oh,
so.
Wow! Wow!
I'll be voting. There's no doubt. I mean, I'm voting for Tuberville. I don't think that's a big surprise. So it would be very strange. I think. I mean, I know Tommy. I mean, I really know Tommy, and you really know Tommy, and it's we have a decent chance here to actually know a U.S. senator. Never thought, but you know, Tommy was made for that. We always used to joke that guy's a politician in the making, and here he's actually becoming a politician.
Well, you know, it's funny. I look back on some of those years, both when I covered him at Ole Miss when he first got started, and then I ended up in Alabama, and I ended up covering him at Auburn for 5 years, and it's funny because I'll look back on it, and sometimes Tommy would come over and talk politics. He was careful about it because of the profession he was in. As a football coach, you have to be careful when you're a right-wing thinking kind of person.
Yeah.
but he absolutely was, and it was I can remember having some political conversations with Tommy where I can remember kind of thinking to myself that this is someone that might have political aspirations. It just wasn't something that you could really talk about because at the time he was the head football coach at Auburn University. I mean, he's got one of the top 10 to 15 coaching jobs in the country, and you don't think, hey, so when this is over, are you going to go into politics? You know, I mean, at the time he was kind of building a program at Auburn and that kind of thing. And so his focus was on that. But you could tell that he was not one of these football coach guys that was just locked exclusively into football. You know, I mean, I never felt like he was one of those people who was just completely consumed with the sport.
I think he was early in his life, but at the time that by the time you and I got to him, and he was probably 40-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
We would joke about it sometimes. Like, he cared a lot about being a good football coach at Auburn, but you know, if you were going to talk to Tommy for an hour, he would spend 10 minutes maybe talking about football, if that.
Yeah.
He would talk about anything else, and he loved gossiping about stuff. I don't mean necessarily mean gossiping, just wants to know what you know and might share a little bit here and there. But I'm pretty enthusiastic about it. I think Tommy would be really good at that. And I also know a lot about his family just because it interested me, and I wrote a lot of stories about it. You know, his father died a long time ago, and Tommy didn't think he would ever get to be older than his dad was when he died. Well, hell, that was like 10, 12, 13 years ago now. Charles Tuberville was his dad, and I think he died at 52, 51, something like that. So Tommy at the time was always like, I'm scared I'm not going to make it, you know, to have a long life. And here he is, living his best life. So in that sense, I'm really proud of him, man. That used to be a real problem for him mentally because he was scared a lot, seriously. Not scared of like Alabama or whatever. I mean, it was just,
right, sure.
he had like a clock ticking in his head that I'm not going to make it past X date, and he has, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that because I can remember talking to him a lot when he was the Texas A&M defensive coordinator, and he was getting ready to land the Ole Miss job.
That's right, yeah.
And you could tell that he was a guy that was in a hurry. Like, get there fast. And he got to Ole Miss, and he did a great job at Ole Miss. People just don't. I think people here are beginning to acknowledge what a good job he did with some of the things that handicapped him. NCAA stuff, the Confederate flag was still in the stadium at the time, all of those things. And he wasn't patient. You know, I mean, I think there were people who were like, man, if you'll just be a little more patient, this deal's either going to work for you or you're going to land a super big job. Like, had he stayed at Ole Miss one more year, and this isn't revisiting or saying he should have at all. Had he stayed at Ole Miss one more year and not taken that Auburn job when the year that Terry Bowden quit and Bill Oliver finished the season, he would have absolutely gotten the LSU job a year later. No question about it. Zero doubt. And you know, and he, I mean, depending on who you believe, he was a little involved in it a year later after he'd been at Auburn for a year. He was always that guy that early in his coaching career, he just couldn't quite get settled in. And I think it's because of what you just said. I think there was always this clock ticking in the back of his head that says, you don't have all day. Let's go. You know, you got to get this. If you want to land a big time job, you got to go get it. And if everything wasn't exactly the way that he wanted it, he kind of marched on. It's so funny to me how, or ironic, I think is the better word. If you don't break that Jetgate story and that deal happens, and I know you're going to do the modest thing and say that it wouldn't have happened. I'm not convinced you're right. If Tommy Tuberville gets fired at Auburn and Petrino gets that job, I wonder how Tuberville is viewed in the coaching world today, where his career would have gone. Right. It's one of those what ifs that are kind of interesting to me, because he ended up staying at Auburn, as you know, you were still covering him, and then they went on a run there.
Really good run.
A really good run where I think he showed that he could absolutely build a nationally elite program. He could dominate Alabama. He could hold his own in the SEC. He could hold his own in that league. I don't know that before that, you know, that if I'm got my dates right, Jay, correct me if I have them wrong. I should say that Jetgate was 2003, November of 03.
That's correct.
And that Auburn team had been a real disappointment. That was the team that had started out the preseason number 1 or 2 or whatever it was in the country, and then they got popped by USC, and they went to Georgia Tech and got beat.
Bad.
And and then they lost that season. I know they lost to Ole Miss. I know they lost to Georgia pretty badly, I think, if I recall correctly. There were some rough losses in that season, and had the Jetgate story not come out, and had he been fired and Petrino got the job, obviously he wouldn't have been there for that 04 season when everything went so well, and Auburn should have had an opportunity to play for a national championship. And I kind of wonder how he would have been viewed differently. And that's not me judging what happened or anything like that. It's just one of those what ifs. I always think what ifs are fascinating, and we're going to have a lot of time to do what if kind of shows on our respective networks. But that's one of those what ifs. What if that story doesn't break? And he finishes that. I think they beat Alabama that year in the Iron Bowl, and at the end of that, the next day, Auburn relieves him of his duties and brings in Bobby Petrino. I just kind of wonder what happens to Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah, it would have been weird. He was definitely going to be fired, though. And then Petrino would have come in and had a good team, obviously, and would have ripped it off. And, he would have been the savior, I guess. The 04 team was good. The 05 team was really good. They overachieved, I think, but they won 11 games. So went to the Cotton Bowl. So he had a really good run going there. It did fall apart at the end. I think he got a little bit. I think he let Saban get in his head a little bit. Just the anxiety of having to go against that dude. And, I mean, Saban's proven himself to be pretty much what we thought he was going to be. He's been a real pain in the ass. But to be fair, Auburn's been a pain in his ass because Auburn's pulled off some wins against him that have been very embarrassing. So 2010 was – I still cannot believe Auburn beat Alabama in 2010. You're 24-0 at home or 23-0 at home. I mean, good God. What
year was that?
10 with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they kick-sixed him. And then this one last year was bad, dude. I mean, Auburn just went toe-to-toe with him the whole way and just ran a dude over and knocked his helmet off at the end and then busted him on a technicality timeout. Saban crying about how unfair it is. I mean, it just, oh, my God. Dude, just shut up and take your loss and move on, man. Don't be a little baby about it. Hey, a couple other things. We got another super chat coming in from Jazzy Joe, who's one of our all-time superstars. He said, "What's up, my brother? Love the shirt." I knew you would like that one.
It is a good shirt.
I'm tired of the divisiveness, man. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to get deep into it. And also, Avery's in the house. Avery, a friend of you and Laura's, who I have met and like. Avery is she's a supporter of our stream as well. I know she's big on the OEP as well. So, special shout out to Avery.
What's really up, cool. Avery?
Who's a very cool person. Okay, so the issues...
Avery won't like me saying this right here, but I had a weird dream. Avery and I were in a history class. Okay. We were in some kind of history class.
Yeah.
Avery was sitting behind me in a history class. It was like 10 people in a room. It was the weirdest classroom. It was a strange deal.
And that's all you remember?
That's all I remember about it was we were in some kind of a history class and she was behind me. That's all I remember. Really, I had a series of like really bizarre dreams yesterday.
Chad, what can we extrapolate from that, Chad, about what that means between what Neal thinks about Avery? I know you think she's a fine young lady.
Yeah, I like Avery and her husband Neal a bunch. They're great people.
I haven't thought about being in a history class with her, but that's...
Well, I had never thought about being in a history class either. But have your dreams been weirder during the pandemic?
Not particularly, no.
Really? Are your sleep patterns different?
They're better. I since about once I turned off TV news in early May because I was getting really freaked out. It's been a lot better. TV news was bad for me, Neal.
Yeah, I don't watch it either.
I didn't want to see numbers anymore. And if you want to say, JG, you're putting your head in the sand and you're a dummy, then that's fine. Because I was headed down a road I didn't want to go down, whether I was smart or dumb. So maybe I'm dumb now. Maybe I'm not aware of what's going on, but at least I'm a lot happier. And I'm also being safe and wearing my mask. And, I know you guys are thinking to yourself, JG, you say you're going to be safe, and then you're going to Gatlinburg with 4 families. Look at Neal putting his breather on N95. Yeah, well, I'm going to wear masks too, and we'll just drink a lot of alcohol. Hopefully the alcohol will kind of wash it out, or whatever. It'll be like hand sanitizer for my throat.
I don't think that's how it works.
Avery says in the chat, that is weird. I've been having crazy dreams. She does not elaborate, nor does she need to elaborate. No mention of a history class, but she says she's been having some strange dreams.
Yeah, my dreams are weird.
Yeah, I don't
like. I wish I could wake up and write them all down without forgetting them.
Why don't you do that?
I guess I could, but you wake up in the middle of the night and you've had a dream. Like I had a dream the other night that Laura went into a side business relocating rattlesnakes. And she got bit by a snake, and she was like, "Oh, it's no big deal." And I was like, "Well, it is a big deal. You got to go to the." And then last night, I'll tell you a dream that I had last night. Tell me what this one means. I'm in a car. It's me and these two guys up front that I didn't know, and then a girl that I didn't know. We're in this car, and this is the most bizarre thing. These two people that are in costumes. One was in a horse costume. And one was dressed up like a wizard or something. I can't remember exactly. And they start having what appears to be an altercation. And then the wizard guy rips off the horse head, and it's a girl. And he proceeds at gunpoint to start trying to rape her. And we're watching from the car, and we're trying to decide, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Because he's armed, and none of us are armed.
Oh, my goodness.
And so we're filming it because we want to have evidence to show the police what happened. And he turns and looks at us, and I'm like, I tap the guy behind the wheel, and I'm like, drive, go, because we got it, and we'll call the police and stuff. But then as we're pulling away, I'm feeling this guilt that I didn't help save the girl from the sexual assault. And then I woke up, and I mean, my heart is going like 1,000 miles an hour. And, I drank some water and fell back asleep. And so when I woke up, it was kind of too late to remember all of the details of it. That's a weird dream.
This is taking a really sordid turn, brother. That's the kind of dream where I need to pour myself some Old Soul from Cathead and just wash that one away, buddy.
Sorry. I mean, we were talking about dreams, and I remembered one that I had. That is a strange dream, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the less we say about that one, the better, brother.
You think that's a bet?
I'm a little concerned about what's going on, dude. I think you need to go to a Steel Panther show.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think that would relieve some of the pressure that's building in your cranium, brother.
I will say this, that it would be a really good time to have what Jay's having right now, which is an Old Soul bourbon. You can also, if bourbon's not your thing, the people at Cathead, they can still take care of you. They've got Cathead vodka, Cathead honeysuckle vodka, Cathead pecan vodka, Bristow gin, which is fantastic in frozen gin and tonics, which has kind of become one of my things. It's also delicious in a martini, which I'm not a big martini person, but my wife is, and so I make them, and so I'll have a sip here and there, and they're pretty damn good. All of that brought to you by Cathead Distillery, Mississippi's original distillery. It's located in Jackson, Mississippi. They are 10 years in business this very year. They also make the Comfort and Mercy hand sanitizer. They've been doing that since mid-March. I saw it at the Crozier in Oxford just Sunday, actually. It's available for purchase online. If it's not available in your local stores or whatnot, it's catheaddistillery.com. And speaking of the Cathead products, when you go into your local package store or bar or whatever, and they don't have it, it's okay. Don't panic. Just ask them to order it. They will. And you'll get it in. You'll like it. You can tell a friend. And know this, that a portion of the proceeds from all the sales in each market goes towards helping local music and arts foundations. It's catheaddistillery.com, catheadvodka.com. You can also follow them at Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter.
I sure do pull for them just because I know them. I've been there. I've gotten drunk there. I've had their liquors many times. They have treated me so well. And I just pull for them, man. It's really hard to break into the liquor business like that, and they have just kept on going. And I thought,
we were hoping to do a pre-season show from there, so I don't know when that show will be, whether it's in August or March or
August 2021. Yeah. Comfort and Mercy is awesome too. We put that, so we bought a case of these, I think you get 10 or 12 of these particular bottles, and then we put them in little spray bottles. So they're about the size of this shot glass, and we just spray them in the car. Spray like 3 or 4 times on your hand. You go like that, and you're good to go. And to me, it's like it's got a really good smell. It smells alcohol-y, which I like.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of alcohol, and it reminds me of the alcohol that I drink. So that's good. But anyway, Comfort of Mercy is another thing. They've kind of, help folks out and move with the times. Things we need to discuss this football season, McCready. I think that's the question I get all the time on the bunker. I mentioned 2 shows ago that I've been playing Warzone with a lot of subscribers. Only subscribers are the only people I play with now. And they ask me when we're playing games, what do you think's going to happen with football? Are they going to play football? My answer to this point is I'm going to be very surprised if they're playing football this fall. I thought for a while they would at least start it, and then I don't know when they would finish it. But at this point, I don't think they're even going to start. And I'm getting that from some people that are in the AD offices, getting that from some coaches at different parts of the country.
Yep.
At this point, and I know you're pissed about it because everybody watching this show knows you're a big COVID truther. Not really judging you one way or another.
I don't know that I would go that far. I don't know that I would call myself a truther.
You're basically one click down from Clay Travis, right?
I don't know. I haven't paid as much attention to Clay Travis as people accuse me of paying attention to Clay. I mean, look, got to give Clay some credit now. Clay's making a bunch of money right now. Give him that. I'm not trying to cash in on it the way that he is. I don't know that the numbers that are out there justify what it is that we're doing. Like I do think there's a path to an SEC only schedule. Here's an example. Here's an anecdote. Kentucky tested, I don't know the exact numbers. I think it was 108 football players and 58 staff. So 165, 66 people. They have no positives.
It's good.
On July the 13th. There is a way to do an SEC only schedule. Now, the problem, I think, is that if you go into this with there can be absolutely no negatives, no positives. If there's a positive, we can't play the game. I think that philosophy won't work. If it's going to be, we must be hyper competitive, everybody must be at equal strength, all that stuff. If you're going to think in traditional terms, that won't work. But I do think there's a way to get a season in. I'm with you though. If you ask me today, what do I think? I don't think a season's going to happen. I think what you're going to see come out of the SEC here in the next week to 2 weeks is an announcement that they're going to a 10-game SEC only schedule. And I saw where Matt Hayes said this a little while ago, and I agree with him because I've talked to a lot of people about this. I don't sense any real confidence from people in athletics that a spring schedule is truly viable.
Yeah, I don't either. I had a long conversation with somebody about this the other day, and no way. Absolutely. I just, we can talk about it. That's fine. But
that goes into the end of May and then take basically a month to recover. And then you got to get cranked back up for another season. And it's truly not viable. And then the other problem you're going to have is a lot of players are going to opt out of a spring 2020 season, spring 2021 season. I mean, anybody that is draft eligible that believes he's going to be drafted would be a fool to play.
A fool.
An absolute fool. So they're not going to do it. They're not going to play. And so rosters begin to get decimated. And then you have injuries on top of that decimation over the course of a season. And before you know it, the product that's on the field isn't particularly good. And then I'm not convinced that the networks, especially if there's no fans in the stands, I'm not convinced the networks have a ton of interest in a spring football season. I'm really not.
Because you've got the covenants in place already for basketball. They paid a lot of money for the basketball rights.
Okay, but here's this is the thing that we haven't talked about much. If there's no football in the fall, it means nothing else happens in the fall.
No.
And if nothing else happens in the fall, that means basketball doesn't start. And if you can't, if the basketball can't be played, and that's an indoor sport, I mean, I think this isn't me being as you call me, a COVID truther here. There is evidence that this is true. that the virus spreads indoors. The virus spreads, it's aerosoled or aerosolized or whatever. It like air conditioning units spit it back around, recirculate it. Well, basketball games are played indoors. So you can't put fans in the stands. And if you can't put fans in the stands, I just don't know that I don't know that it's viable from a basketball standpoint. It's one of the things that one of the things that I think is underreported right now is if there's no football, Jay, I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything. I don't think any other sport gets off the ground.
Not even baseball?
No. Okay, let's talk about baseball because and this is where it depends on how many schools, even in the SEC, turn a profit in baseball.
Not many.
Okay,
like Ole Miss, which is a really good program that has a lot of fan support. They're probably about even, right?
They make a slight profit.
All right.
They're in the black, but barely. But they're only in the black because what you said, they have these weekends, like this season that just got canceled. LSU was due to come here. South Carolina was going to come here. Vanderbilt was going to come here. I think Mississippi State was going to come here. They were going to have these 4 or 5, maybe 6 weekends where the place is just jam-packed on Friday and Saturday and then really packed on Sunday. Well, if you can't do that because of the virus, if you have to spread it out or if you have to 20% capacity, all of a sudden baseball's a loser. And you can't start a loser. You can't play a loser if you don't have football because football makes the money that absorbs those losses over the course of a year.
Yeah.
So I think we're talking about a year with no sports on college campuses.
Man, oh man. I'm telling you, it's gonna, man, there's so much to take in on that. First of all, I mentioned this on the Brain Drain the other day. You know, sports are a soothing balm for all of us, right? I mean, we're in the business of it, so it's kind of work for us. But for 98% of the people out there, it's not. They go to work and they get their ass handed to them at work, or folks that are raising kids are getting their ass handed to them by their kids.
Yeah,
you could sit down on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday night and you can watch your favorite team play and you can just disengage. You got to have that. It's almost therapeutic. It is therapeutic in a lot of cases. So now if we lose that, it's going to really affect, I'm serious, it's going to affect mental stability. Not just me and Neal and Gabriel and everybody else who's a publisher in this business because yowzers, but just for regular folks to not have the sports. We joke about, it would suck, but I mean, it's really going to have an effect on people. And Corny Mofo says in the chat, sports unite people. It's absolutely true.
Well, look how divided we are right now. A lot of it, I think, not a lot of it, but some of it is we don't have sports. And I think in the fall, there's absolutely no doubt in this part of the country. It's one of the reasons that I pushed back so hard against Darren Rovell and Stuart Mandel and the people like that.
Oh, and I'm glad you did.
Who took these shots at people in the South. I mean, take Ole Miss, for example. I mean, Ole Miss is not a national football power. It really never has been. They've had a year here and there, but for the most part, I mean, it's just it's a middle of the pack SEC program. But people come here year after year with their families and friends, and they meet in the Grove and they do all of that stuff, and they get together and they have relationships with people. I mean, families they tailgate with one another, and and they do it for decades at a time, and the kids get to know each other and the kids become friends, and it's bigger than football. Yes, I'm sure it's that way at Auburn, at Florida, at Tennessee. The people that come there and they watch the flotilla come up the river or whatever, or people go to Tuscaloosa and they go to the quad and they hang out and then they go to the game, and then all that's like that everywhere. At Carolina, they do the thing on the state fair at the caboose, the cockaboose or whatever it's called. All that stuff. I mean, all these schools have these traditions, and it's really goes beyond football. It's people that come together. They meet up with people that they went to school with, or families get back together, brothers and sisters and stuff, and they go to the games, and the kids come, and the kids, dress up in their little Auburn gear, and they go get their little obby, and they go home after the game on Saturday night or on Sunday or whatever. And then, what gets them through the week a lot of times is, hey, Auburn plays Georgia Saturday at Jordan-Hare. We're meeting our friends Saturday morning early, and we're going to tailgate all day and then go to the game, and then come back to the tailgate after the game and either celebrate or bitch or talk about the officials or fire the coach or whatever. And then on Sunday you go home and you get ready for the Alabama game. And I'm with you. I think when you take all of that stuff away from people, when you take away from people the ability to get together and do something that is such a part of the fabric of living in this part of the country in the fall, I do have zero doubts at all that it is going to do damage to people's psyches and their morale. And then you throw in a divisive presidential election, no matter what side of the aisle you're on and all that stuff. You throw that in, and you throw in economic loss, and then you throw in the prospect of kids not being back in school and all of the stress that comes with that. Yeah, I mean, I worry about people in the fall. I do. It's one of the reasons I'm people say, why are you pushing so hard for kids to go back to school? Because it's one of the things that I think at least lets some of the steam out of the contraption, if you will.
Yeah. It's a social endeavor, like you said. And I was mentioning it on the website the other day, just in passing, like, well, there's not going to be any tailgating. They're like, whoa. There's no tailgating. Who said that? I was like,
oh, that's happening.
There's no way they're going to allow tailgating.
No, Mississippi State's already announced that in Starkville that there's not going to be any on-campus tailgating, and it's the worst kept secret in Oxford. They're not going to. The Grove's not going to be open. I can't imagine there's going to be tailgating at Auburn or Alabama or whatever. Not university sanctioned tailgating anyway. And
right.
Yeah, it's going to be different. We've said this for a while now. Even if there is a football season, it's going to look different. It's going to sound different. It's going to feel different. I don't know. If you let yourself go down that road mentally a little bit, it can be a little depressing. And again, that's why I kind of told Darren Ravel to go stick it.
Yeah,
I mean, when you act like, oh yeah, you people in the South didn't take it seriously, and now you're going to pray by losing your precious football.
Shut your ass. Shut up. Shut your ass. I'd like to get Darren Ravel on a show. Wait, can we do that?
He would. I'd love to have him on. He wouldn't come on.
I would start off by saying things to him. That guy is nothing but a troll, dude. I can't believe ESPN hires him, continues to hire him. Does he still work for them, right?
I don't know where he works now.
He did at one time. Anyway, so dude wants to get on Twitter. I think it was a Sunday that he was pulling this shit. Might have been Saturday. And he just exactly what he said. He was like, you Southerners, you guys aren't wearing your masks and the numbers are up and now you're not going to get your football. And I'm like, blow it out your ass, dude. And I mean, I'm not even from the South, but I've been living down here long enough to know. I mean, I'm just tired of that bullshit. Like, stop acting like it's only a Southern problem, because it's not. Texas is not Southern. Arizona's not Southern. Well, Southern in my view. I guess they're the Southern United States, but they're not the South. And what he was saying was South. You SEC people. You're not going to get your beloved football, ha, ha, ha. And it's like, right here, buddy. Why are you cheering against it? Oh,
yeah,
God.
He's in the business of sports betting. He's the sports business reporter and senior executive producer for Action Network HQ.
Okay, Action Network HQ.
So he's taken a hit from a career standpoint.
Stuart Mandel from The Athletic doing something similar too.
Oh, it was very similar. It was a dance on your grave sort of a deal.
I just don't understand it. You just have to be a moron. The guy, okay, so Darren Ravel, whatever, he's doing sports betting. Who gives a shit? Now then, Stuart Mandel, he's running The Athletic. So he does have a vested interest in there being football. And him sitting there mocking people in the southeastern part of the country for allowing their numbers to get high. Do you think me and McCready and all y'all had something to do with that? Hell no. It's out of our hands. We're just the people living here.
And at the risk of being called a truther again by my friend Jay Tate, here's one for you. Because Stuart Mandel loves to take shots at the South. Florida, the state of Florida, which is mostly South, has 2/3 the cases as New York. 2/3 as many cases in Florida since this thing started as New York. Would you like to guess what the death total is? Florida's death total is 1/10 that of New York.
How about that, huh?
Yet we're told that Florida has handled the case worse than any other state. When in reality, Florida, the numbers tell you that Florida's handled the case better than a lot of other states did.
Well, they have a lot of cases, but they're not killing a lot of people. I saw something where I guess some of the students at University of Florida in Gainesville were coming back and they tested them. It was about a 500-person survey, and they had gotten approximately 125 positives, which is, I think, a huge number for a regular population of people. I mean, it's like 20%. which is insanely high. And when I was talking to an AD the other day, they were like, we can sit here and talk all day about we should play football and the kids want to play and all this shit. But when they start testing the kids and it's 12% positive or whatever, in the Florida case is a little higher, it's over. I mean, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over at 8%. It's over at 6%. It's going to be way higher than that, and the university presidents are going to absolutely take a dump over this. So,
well, there's such a fear about liability, litigation.
Yeah.
There's a school of thought among those university administrators, and believe it or not, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're wrong. I don't know. I've never run a university. I don't know what legal people are advising them to do or not do, but they're hearing a lot of it only takes one
kid on a ventilator.
I've had people tell me that, hey, until there's kind of and this is going to take 12 to 18 months until there's sort of a legal precedent that is set, meaning here's, we're almost a Supreme Court mandated kind of a thing, and it's not Supreme Court, but you know what I'm talking about, something that would be legally binding that discusses exactly what the levels of liability are for a school, that you're just not going to see it.
There's no central figure to call shots here, Neal. That's kind of where you're going with that. I mean, there's no central figure because the NCAA is just like sackless wonders. I mean, they're not doing anything, and they haven't done anything for a while.
No.
And so then
there's no bigger. I mean, Jay, there's no bigger myth than the NCAA. Meaning, I don't mean the overarching body. I mean the NCAA legislative group of people in Indianapolis. There's no greater myth than they have control over college football. They have very little control over college football. They have control over college basketball's tournaments, but that's it. And they don't have control over college football. They don't control what happens with decision making. That's at the conference level. It's why you're seeing these conferences go into conference only mode right now, because that's the only way that you can potentially control the body that you're working with. If Auburn and Ole Miss are scheduled to play one another and they've only played SEC teams, you have a pretty decent feel for how healthy those two teams are as it pertains to the virus.
Yeah.
But if Auburn has played, and I'm just making up names so before anybody yells at me, Troy and North Carolina, and Ole Miss has played Baylor and Southeast Missouri State or whatever, well, you don't really have access to what's happening at Baylor or at North Carolina or at Troy or Southeast Missouri State. So you can't really say, okay, well, we can tell, yeah, Auburn, you're going to Ole Miss, and here's what you're looking at there. You wouldn't be able to tell them, as opposed to if the only teams that when Auburn and Ole Miss played one another, if Auburn had played Vanderbilt and Ole Miss had played Arkansas, for example, you would have access, you being Greg Sankey in the SEC office, you would have access to all of their numbers. You would be able to tell Auburn, okay, well, you're playing Ole Miss, and they just got through playing Arkansas. And as of this morning, Arkansas has 0 positive cases. Ole Miss has 0 positive cases. You appear to be going into a clean environment. But that's where you get into what you're talking about. And this is why I'm with you. I just don't see it. We both know what's going to happen when these college campuses open and kids show up. There's going to be parties. They're going to see each other. They haven't seen each other in months. There's going to be the viruses. If the virus is present, it's going to spread. Doesn't mean that anybody's going to get sick, but people are going to they're going to contact trace and all of that stuff that they do, and they're going to be able to go out and find positives, and that's going to shut it down. There's just I don't see a scenario right now today where a season is played. Now today's July the 13th, and perhaps in 4 weeks. I mean, there is a scenario in my mind. I know I'm being long-winded. There is a scenario in my mind where it can happen, and it's this: numbers nationally start to tail off. We get on the good side of a curve. The testing numbers stay high, but the positives go down. The death rate continues to decline. ICUs and vents go down. And then we have success with Major League Baseball. They start, I think, next Thursday, next Friday. And they're one that you can actually watch because the players aren't in a bubble like the NBA is, like MLS. The players they go home after the game. They go to a hotel after the game. They're being
Looks like I lost McCready there for a second. This has got a slower network connection. Mine is still showing green right now. Are you there, McCready?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll switch cards here real quick.
All right.
I go with it.
Okay. You know, the NBA's in a bubble, MLS is in a bubble, Major League Baseball's not going to be in a bubble. And so if in a month they've played and they're able to continue playing, that gets us to the end of August, or middle of August, I should say, about the time that colleges open up. I think you could start to try to ramp up a college football season starting in late September, early October, and you could play an 8 to 10 game SEC only schedule, probably 8 games with some built-in leeway time if you had a problem. That's probably best case right now. The truth is the clock's running out. I mean, if this was that hourglass with the sands in it, we're running out of sand.
That's what Sankey was saying. You know, he's going to drag his feet as long as possible, and I don't blame him. If I was in his position, I would do the same exact thing because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen. So you're not going to. You know, me and Neal have decried so many situations on this show of people and leagues and groups that have just declared a loss before we even get to a point where you have to declare a loss. You know, these schools that were just going to shut down, they're not going to have on-campus instruction. They made this decision 6 weeks ago or something. Why? Why did you do that? Why do you feel like you have to make a decision a month before you have to make a decision? Don't do it. Just keep waiting. So the SEC will keep waiting. I think he'll make a decision around August 1.
Yeah. About 2 weeks from now. He's got 2 to 3 weeks max from today to make a decision.
3 weeks max. Yeah. I mean,
Just
OTAs
3 weeks
are starting now.
Are they actually going to start them?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the plan later this week.
Okay.
Now, are they going to abort that when it becomes time? I don't know. But yeah, that's the plan still.
If I'm them, I punt on the OTAs. I don't go there right now. I just keep people who can do strength and conditioning, because I don't know about you, but like it's pretty obvious that some of the Ole Miss kids aren't here for the voluntary stuff.
Yeah, it's not 100% here, but it's a lot more than I thought it would be.
Yeah. But I think they're supposed to show up. I think it's this week. It's like mandatory.
And you've also got the kids, Neal. I mean, 3 weeks ago when Auburn was canvassing the kids coming back, and it was like, hey, do you guys want to play? They're like, hell yeah, I want to play. I mean, of course they do. But as the season gets closer and we start seeing a lot of reports about, well, there's a lot of college kids getting it. The numbers in Florida are up. The numbers in Alabama are up. This is a dangerous thing. This one dude in Kankakee, Illinois got it, and he was 18 years old. Now he can't hear, and he's going to spend the rest of his life deaf, or some story like that. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, the outlier stories.
Sure.
Are the kids still going to be cool with playing? I doubt it's going to be 100%.
And
Doubt it.
That's my problem with media a little bit too, is that they blow up the one story, and yet like today the Kentucky story happens and no one touches it. I mean, Barrett Sallee tweets it out and immediately gets attacked on Twitter with, well, so what does that mean?
What, so?
Well, it means they tested 166 people and they were all negative. It's a good sign.
And to their credit.
It means that what they're doing in Lexington's working. That's what it means. That's a good thing. That's a positive. And in an SEC only scenario, well, that's 1 out of 14 that is good right now.
Doing a hell of a job. My alma mater. One of my alma maters, I should say.
UK. Yeah, I mean, I just, that's what it means. And to me, that would be, if I'm Greg Sankey, that would be some ammunition on my part to say, hey, we don't have to make this call just yet. Let's see if maybe we catch a break.
At UK, the Two Keys Tavern, which is a critical night spot at UK, filed for bankruptcy. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to close forever, but it's hard for those folks. And I have not actually partied in Two Keys, but I have partied outside of Two Keys, and I've had a little bit of luck there, if you know what I mean. So
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry to see it go if it were to come to that. But
Well, that to me is one of the sad things. One of the many sad things about all of this is all these communities that are built around these schools and that really thrive because of the athletics programs and stuff that are part of it. They suffer. I mean, look, Oxford's going to have a different feel to it if there's no football season. I mean, there are going to be there are going to be restaurants and bars that don't make it. It's going to impact the real estate market very detrimentally. There's just no way around it. And then, Ole Miss is one of those schools that depends on out-of-state kids. They get a lot of kids from Georgia, a lot of kids from
Alabama.
Texas, and a lot of kids from Alabama. And if those kids, if all of their courses are going to be online, their parents aren't paying out-of-state tuition for their kid to sit upstairs in the house and take online courses. That's silly.
Yeah. One of our posters, Stoop Up, says, why not push school back to start after Labor Day, give the combination of the virus burning and hopefully increased mask use will cause the rates to go down. Push the football decision as far out as you can. I mean, we've been doing better. Like in Montgomery, we've got a mask ordinance now, and I really feel like people are wearing them. I mean, I've been out a bunch. I haven't really changed my lifestyle too much, okay? I wash my hands and I wear a mask. But I still go out to eat, and I still go to the store, and I'm not worried about it. And I've noticed in the last 2 or 3 weeks, there's a lot more mask wearing in Montgomery. Now, I'm one little town. I get it. But people here they're conforming, and I'm really encouraged to see that. I think it's going to help. I think that a mask helps.
I was in 30A for a week, and I saw lots and lots of masks. I mean, went to Publix a couple of times to get groceries. Everyone in there was wearing a mask. I was at a hotel one night, and people, when they got into an elevator, they didn't crowd the elevators. People wore masks in the elevators. I'm not convinced that the cotton mask work. People are wearing dirty masks. You can tell people. It's like the dude that's got. Well, I mean, it's a mask that hasn't been laundered. I mean, it's obviously that it's just been, reworn and over and over and over for months at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, and you'd see people with like do-rags or bandanas over there. I'm like, that's probably not working, but whatever makes you feel better. But the point is, I do think people are trying. I live in a town, Oxford, that's been under a mask ordinance for 3 months now.
Oh, really?
I mean, you can't go into a store here without a mask. I mean, I've got like a 4 mask rotation going on. I mean, you want to walk into the liquor store here, you got to wear a mask. I mean, we did curbside for the longest time.
Corny Mofo, one of our guys who's in the chat, he has put forth the idea that there should be a no sex September to slow the spread. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get a lot of support on that one, Corny. I don't know if that's going to help very much.
Well, and even if you did, I don't know how that appeases ESPN and CBS. And that's
that's true.
To me, I mean, they're like, well, what does that do for us? I think that's the other thing too, is like with Major League Baseball, there was this talk at one point about taking the Major League Baseball season to Christmas. You know who stopped that, right?
No, ESPN.
The TV network said we don't want it in November and December. We want it in October. We want it in September, and mostly we want it in October because we get good ratings for postseason. And it's another reason I don't think spring football works particularly well. And I've had other people tell me this. They don't think the TV ratings would be in the spring what they are in the fall, because people have grown up watching college football in the fall, not watching college football in April.
Wow. I feel like that's a subtle difference, but you might be right. To get a little bit more fun, though, hold on. I want to talk about our friends at Penn Trust for a minute and John Edwards at Regency Travel. Yeah. Those guys are beasts, and I just want to make sure that you have a chance to kind of talk about them for a minute.
So Jay mentions Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust is based in Madison, Mississippi. They are also the host of one of my podcasts, Jay, Mind on My Money.
Martin Palumbo, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's a really good show. I think you would enjoy that. Martin and I do that show every Tuesday. It's usually available where you get podcasts on Wednesdays. Pinnacle Trust has been around.
No, I think it's on my end. I'm not sure. I think I'm back, though.
Okay.
All right, so if you want to just I was talking about Pinnacle Trust, yeah.
Yeah, and I was telling you about Pinnacle Trust. So regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust is going to sit down with you. They're going to listen to your goals, study your expenses, put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan that's built just for you. It's pintrust.com, PINNtrust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You get 10% off your first year's fees. Jay's buddy, John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated. John's terrific. He'll set your trip up, whatever you want to go. All you got to do is get in touch with John. I know a lot of you have done it. All you do is you give him some parameters, you give him a budget. He gives you a bunch of options you're not going to find on your own. He had Jay all set up for a fantastic trip to Europe that I think they're going to take a year from now. Correct. instead of taking this year. John's just terrific at what he does. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. Give him a call, 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
I'm going to be taking a trip proudly on Wednesday to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Sevierville, in that general area. And we've talked on the show that Gatlinburg is essentially what the world would be like if Walmart was a city. And I like that. I have been going to Gatlinburg since the 80s because my parents went on their honeymoon to Gatlinburg. Please don't judge them one way or another. They're fine people, separately now. But they like to go there and rekindle things. And they used to run me and my sister out of the room for long periods of time. I just thought it was because they were hanging out. But anyway, I spent a lot of time in Gatlinburg, and we're going back. And I'm looking forward to eating, and I'm looking for a lot of places to eat, a lot of places to poop there. And there's going to be a lot of bourbon to drink, including this delicious old soul from Cathead. And we're going with 4 other families. There'll be a total of, I think, 25 people living in one cabin. But we'll
so you'll have a good case of COVID by this time.
I hope not. But I'm looking forward to it, though. This is going to be fun. We're going to actually be in Gatlinburg, above Gatlinburg, in the hills. And I'm looking forward to hanging out, man. I'll wear a mask. I'll be safe. I'll wash my hands. I'll use this Comfort and Mercy hand sanitizer, but look, man, I mean, I got to get out and do a little something, you know? I got to go out. I got to connect with my friends and see them. I didn't get to go on the Europe trip, and we didn't get to go to the Caribbean. I know everybody's had to sacrifice, but, I mean, come on, man. I'm going to go to Gatlinburg, so.
Are you nervous about eating indoors in restaurants?
Like, in a general sense?
Yeah.
Hell no. I live my life exactly as I did before now, with the exception of I wear a mask and wash my hands a lot.
It's the one thing that, for whatever reason, it's the one mental thing that I can't get over. I get a little nervous when I go to the gym.
I don't go to the gym. Forgot about that.
And I don't eat inside restaurants.
I don't go to the gym. I went one time and I just felt uneasy in there.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way that they had it set up. So I haven't been back since then. I go out to the soccer field and run. I'm going to be honest with you. I've gained a few pounds since the quarantine hit just because I can't go to the gym when it's raining. And I can't ride my bike when it's raining. So I'm kind of stuck here in the house. I know there's things I could do in the house, but stuff's just boring to me. I can't get into it. So, having to be careful with what I'm eating more so than I used to. And I still get out and go to the soccer fields. They let me on it now. The soccer fields are now open, so it's all good. Should have been open the whole time.
Will you exercise in Gatlinburg, or will you just completely total debauchery?
No. Well, there'll be a lot of drinking and a lot of eating and a lot of pooping, but it's going to be a very hilly neighborhood, so I'll just hoof it. I'll just walk through the neighborhood. I mean, when you're walking up hills and stuff in the heat, it gives you a good little something. Now, is it McCready, Peloton, Hairless Whisper? No, it's not, but I'm not pushing to be that dude, okay? So
no, it's all good.
It's all good.
You always mention places to poop in Gatlinburg. Is there a certain kind of place that you specifically want?
There's so many. I just want one in the air conditioning. That's all. But
I was going to ask what makes a good place to do that.
It's somewhere.
What is it that you search for?
It's more about what's going on in there than it is the actual place. It's a satisfier, whatever. But I'm going to go to the Dolly Parton statue in Sevierville. I think Dolly Parton is a national treasure. I think she should run for president. I would support her.
Absolutely.
I have a feeling she would have some conservative viewpoints that I would agree with, and she's also effervescent and friendly, which I would also agree with. And she has a long, long history of helping kids, of helping people, of trying to bridge the gap racially. She's done it all, man. And we're going to be worse off if she ever leaves us from this mortal coil. But anyway, so Gatlinburg's going to be fun. I'm glad you had a chance to go to Florida. That was good for you. And I also want to mention I have 19 days until I'm officially an empty nester. Not that I'm counting them down or anything like that. 19 days.
How do you feel right now?
Great. I feel wonderful. I'm really happy. I mentioned this on the pre-show. Okay, so Neal's gonna make fun of me for this, but I came up with a little bit of a. I guess I would call it the story of Jay. It was like shit that I've learned in my 48 years that I wanted my daughter to hear. And I know she's gonna read some of this stuff and go, "Don't care, don't care, don't care." Not applicable to me. Not applicable to me. You know, she's gonna find a million reasons. But my dad never had a conversation with me ever about life. Like, hey Jay, here's some shit that I did wrong, you know, when I was 20 or 30 or whatever, and think about this. You don't have to like write it down, but it's just things that I've learned. So I made, and it turned out to be like 5 pages long, a list of things that I feel like lessons I've learned, things that I wish that my dad had told me. And I'm going to present that to Maddie, you know, when she's going to college or whatever, and I'll print it out because she's not going to give a shit what I have to say now, but maybe she will in October or November or 2 years from now or 5 years from now. I don't know. Now, Neal did something similar when his oldest daughter, Campbell, went to school last year, and I made fun of him because it sounded really stupid. Like, it was like I wrote her a letter, and I told her what she meant to me, and I'm like, blah. Like, that's not what I did.
No, but it wasn't just that. It was a lot more of an encouraging thing and some ideas about how you can, things that, quite frankly, I wish I had known going into college.
Did you get any feedback?
No, but I think I noticed that she did a lot of those things.
What was it like? Paint your hair red? I mean, is it things that you can actually tell?
It was things that I was unprepared for college. I look back on it, I was unprepared for college in any way. I had no, I mean, I was fine academically, but I was not prepared for college in terms of socially or what to expect or time management or money management. I just wasn't ready for it. And I wasn't ready for, I don't know. I didn't get homesickness. I didn't have a great college experience. I didn't. I mean, it's funny to me. You had a great college experience. You have tons of incredible college memories, and most people do. And I'm always very jealous of that. Not in a, oh, I wish you didn't have it. I'm glad that they had it. And I wanted that for her. My point was, I think there are some things that you can learn from mistakes that I made going to college, that if you don't make those mistakes, you give yourself a chance to have a much better freshman experience. And I do think your freshman year is critical, because if you have a bad freshman year, the odds are you're never really gonna find your place there. It's my opinion.
Word.
And as opposed to if you have a great freshman experience, it's really only going to get better from there, because you have these building blocks. And so it's pretty similar to what I told her. It was just some tips and some ideas, and basically told her this is, it's your time to go make your way there, and all that stuff. And she did. And so she had you and I talked about it. She had a fantastic, incredible freshman year at University of Arkansas. Just absolutely loved it. I mean, except for having to leave in the middle of March because of COVID. She got it cut 7 weeks short, but she had an incredible first year there. And so I think it's good that you're giving her some tips. And even though she's not going to give you any feedback, she's going to remember it. It sticks.
I would have, if my dad had given me some, I don't know as I would have cared at the time, but I would have gone back and looked at him. I know I would have. Not that day, not that week, but some point I would have said, I remember him asking me or telling me this shit. Let me see if any of this is applicable. But I'm a lot different than my dad. My dad's like a nerdy, quiet dude, and I'm like who I am. But my daughter's a lot more like me, right? So maybe it'll be a little bit more applicable. And my wife, I think, was trying to read it, but I don't want her to read it. It's not her business. If you want to tell her some shit, you write your own, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do my own here.
Well, Laura always says that Campbell's just like me, and so I'm kind of, I didn't want, and she's similar. I didn't want her to have the experience that I had. I wanted her to be better prepared, and she was. She's a lot more worldly and smart and things like that than I was at 19.
You're pretty sharp though. Leif B from the Ole Miss site says he has 2 pieces of advice for college kids. One is find the smartest person you can and be friends with them. I don't really.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then also, when someone offers you drugs, only take about half of what they offer.
Okay.
I'm not a drug taker, and I never was. So that would not have applied to me, but That's cool. I just drink. Although you could argue that alcohol is a drug.
I think it's safe to say that it is a drug. It's just a drug that you're. Some people are able to moderate it, and some people aren't.
Some people are, and some people aren't. Neal, you're right. I'm doing okay in that. I know you are too. So.
Yeah, I do all right. I mean, I haven't had a drink in, let's see.
You didn't have a drink in Florida?
I hadn't drink in 19 hours. I mean, it's been 19 hours since the last time I had a drink.
You were about to scare me there, bro. I was like, you're not off the wagon, are you?
No. In Florida, my post workout, I would go for a run on the beach and immediately have my instead of having a water or a Gatorade or whatever, I just open a beer. I mean, I was having beer at 9:20 in the morning, so yeah.
Attaboy. That's what I like to hear.
That's what the beach is for, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I don't go there very often. When I do, I drink a lot. Of course, the trick is anywhere I go, I drink a lot, so it's all good. I mean, here's my thing: if I'm not working and I'm hanging out with my wife, why don't we just drink?
I will tell you this. One of the things I discovered that's nice about the beach is when you're stationed up on the beach, and so people are walking in front of you. It's one of the places, that and The Bachelor are the two places that you can check out women and outwardly comment about them to your wife, and it's no big deal.
Oh yeah, well I don't have that problem in general. I got some stories to tell you, McCready.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they'd really surprise you, I think.
Jay, I don't know how easily you could surprise me. I think you would have to work hard to surprise me.
I can have an open conversation with my wife about pretty much any girl. I mean, like I could be like, that girl's hot, that girl's not hot. I mean, she's been known to come to me and say, don't you think that girl's hot? And I'll be like, yeah, oh yeah. She's like, yeah, I thought you would think so. Yeah. So it's kind of a different thing with us, you know?
Yeah, that does not surprise me. I sort of knew that, though.
She's very cool about that stuff. A pretty girl doesn't bother her. I think here's the thing. She doesn't want to say this, but I think it's because I'm so ugly that she knows that I can't. Like, she's like, I would love to see you just try, you know? But here's the thing, man. Even people who look like me, who look like Shrek, we can talk, and talking can get you somewhere. I'm telling you. I know this from experience. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can almost talk your way into like feigning confidence and stuff before you know it. Yeah, before you know it, man.
Next thing you know, you're JG Tate. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we better wrap it up there, Neal. We've had to restart 2 or 3 times, although this will be edited and people won't even know what I'm talking about who listen to the show. The thousands of people listen to the show, and I thank you guys so much. GPITS has not skipped a beat since the sports have shut down. We're still getting out there to thousands of people every day, the actual GPITS podcast, and we thank you very much for listening to us. We've got folks all the way, Memphis, Birmingham, Atlanta.
Joplin.
Oh, I mean, we're huge in Joplin, obviously, and Jefferson City. Hey, we did talk with Gabriel. He wasn't able to come on today because he had some stuff he was doing this afternoon specifically, but we're going to have him on next week, and he's got some interesting stories to tell because COVID's been picking up steam in Colombia, and, it's just been kind of an anxious time there for him. So there you go.
Yep.
Stuff with Gabriel. We miss Gabriel. We love Gabriel, of course. Our friend at Mizzou of Power. Good people.
Yeah, the Mizzou of Power. And to reiterate what Jay said, thank you all for being loyal listeners, and we appreciate it. And we're gonna now that Jay's got his super setup, we'll get more video. We'll start doing this more consistently and all of those things. So until next time, that does it for this episode, number 106 in the books of Greatest Pod in the South. Brought to you by Automation and Control Systems LLC. ACSLLCMS.com is that website. For JG Tate, I'm Neal McCready. Talk to you next time. Take care.
All right, bud. I will put this together. I'll cobble together the show, my man.
Sorry about that. I don't know whether it was my end or yours.
I think it was a combination of both. It was just bad luck. We don't usually have any problems like that, so it's all good.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right, sir.
All right.
See you, man. All right, there he goes. Neal McCready. The man's a legend. We did have a couple drops there, which is totally my fault. And I think the one fella who was having the audio issue is because I was having in and out. I have a little, I can switch my camera and show you what I'm talking about here. I have a little on my dashboard right there. See where I guess it tells me like what my input and output is, and it's green, which is what it usually is. But during the show today, it went down to red and yellow a couple times, and I know at that point that's not good. So sorry about that. I mean, this is on a hard line. I don't use Wi-Fi for this show, and typically we have very, very good speeds. It's about 500 megabits per up and down. So, just so happens that it didn't work out quite as well. Pocket Watch says, time for a fancy fiber connection. I think we do have fiber available here in this neighborhood, but I just haven't really looked it up. I haven't had enough problems with this to worry about it. If this happens a couple more times, I probably would start looking into it. But anyway, Leif Beast has got some Legion on the table. Yes, sir, I do. I do have some Legion. Always have Old Soul, though. I was also drinking this White Dog that somebody got me. White Dog Mash. I'm just kidding. It was Leif, actually. Pocket Watch says, what about latency? Now, when I run my tests, my ping is, I guess you're talking about ping. My ping is almost always in the single digits, and it's anywhere from 5 to 9, 8. I check it quite often. I don't know if that's the actual latency you're talking about, but my ping is usually very, very good. Pocket Watch says, never hurts to call and ask how much on the fiber. I regret not doing that a lot sooner. Okay. I think my neighbor behind me, who I don't like and don't want to talk to, I think that they got that. So maybe I'll have to sack up and ask them. Justin J says you can make up for it by doing the Gus voice before you go. Well, there's no doubt. I mean, it's pretty big. I like your show, Jay. Hey, Gus, can we have Christy on? I don't know about that. I mean, you could ask her, but no, because I already did that. He played that game with me last time I was at his house. I was like, hey, can Christy write a column for us? She's like, well, I mean, you have to ask her. And then I asked her, and she goes, well, my wife and I together asked her, and she's like, you know what? I mean, I would do that, yeah. And then I go to Gus, and I go, hey, man. So Christy said that she would do it. And he goes, yeah, I need to talk to her about that. I was, wait. What are you doing? Well, I mean, JG, as I understand it, you Catholics pray to Mary, and that seems a little strange to me. No, we don't pray to Mary. We ask for Mary's intercession on our behalf, because Mary, as the mother of Jesus, is a very central figure and a very cool person, by the way, who showed a lot of faith. Well, I mean, that's not what I was told. Well, I'm Catholic, and I just went through RCIA at the time, 2003, so it's kind of fresh in my head, and I know the truth. I've actually asked this question. Well, I mean, that's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. You're right. Holy Mary, Mother of God, is a very interesting person. You're right. She's an important person to me. Yes. And I mean, not that you guys are asking me. I'm not trying to turn this into a religious podcast or a show, whatever it might be. But in our church, we have, obviously we have what's going on up front, lots of good stuff. And then we've got Mary on the left and Joseph on the right. You can go, as a Catholic, I don't pray to them. I pray for their intercession. I ask her to look over me and to help me stay calm in situations of anxiety, because Mary very much could have freaked out, and she didn't, because she had a lot of faith. All right, guys, I'm not going religious. I'm the wrong guy to do that. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Lots more people will be listening, believe it or not. I wish we could get more folks on the show, on the video, but that's cool. It's kind of an odd time of day, and I know we haven't done it, because we missed a while when the computer wasn't behaving the way that I thought it should have. But I think we were good today, except for the internet kind of welled in and out. But that's not the computer's fault. Thank you to our super chatters, Jazzy Joe, who's always there for us, and Web M. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for that. Corny says, I always wanted to date a woman named Mary. Yeah, I hadn't really had that happen. I didn't know a lot of Marys. Even to this day, I don't know many, except for the one that whose intercession I always seek. Just kind of dated a Courtney, but also dated an Amy, and a Stacy, and dated. You could tell your parents you were dating a Missy. I actually dated a Missy. True story. That didn't go well, and as you would expect, and also a Julie. Julie didn't go well either with Julie. All right, but that was not a Juli. It was a Julie. All right, dude. Melee says, not bad for a stream run off of an iWatch. Come on, guys, it'll work. I'm just teasing. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. I'm going to go ahead and work this up, and it'll be out for podcast probably later this afternoon. But those of you who watch the video stream, I'm afraid that it's been spoiled for you if you've seen the whole show. Anyway. All right, you guys, be good out there. Take care. We'll see you next time. Appreciate y'all. Boom, get it.